Former President of the West Indies Players Association, WIPA, Dinanath Ramnarine, is expressing dissatisfaction with the organization's current leadership. Speaking last night on the Mason and Guest talk show out of Barbados, Ramnarine highlighted that a number of senior players are opting to leave WIPA. He also voiced his disappointment with its current president, Wavell Hines.
They are very unhappy with the representation that they have been getting. You know, when one considers the time and effort and the amount of work that went in, certainly during my time, for 10 years of my life, to see where it has come now is rather disappointing. I honestly thought that, you know, Wavell, who would have played a critical role and who was part of all this, every step of the way, the decision making, would have at least continued to fight and to improve the rights and so on of the players.
Meanwhile, WIPA President Wavell Hines is reiterating that the organization has done its best to represent Caribbean players.
We strive on relationships, and relationships are important. We respect the players' decision to withdraw, and we will certainly continue to make sure that the relationships with players of all sorts from all over the Caribbean are done, are held in good faith, and are maintained to the best interest of West Indies cricket.
Hines also commented on the omission of Pollard and Bravo from the West Indies cricket squad to the ICC World Cup. The former West Indies batsman said WIPA had raised concerns with the board following the selection of the squad, but could not determine that victimization had taken place.
The players, of course, were aggrieved that they were left out of the West Indies team that was chosen to play in the World Cup. We, at the West Indies Players Association, represented those positions to the WICB and asked questions as to why the players were noticeable regular members of the team, and in the case of Dwayne Bravo, being the captain of the team on the previous tour of India, before he was left out of the tour of South Africa. And the West Indies Cricket Board provided communications that they will contact the players directly, which they did, and they spoke to the Players Association about players not making the requisite selection policies or criteria, not meeting the required policy and criteria, and the players' performance were the situation as the reason why they weren't selected.
Like the WICB members, Hines too is looking forward to the re-signing of the MOU following the arbitration process.
Well, the West Indies Cricket Board and the West Indies Players Association have agreed to an arbitration mediation process, and those things are being put in place, the terms of reference and all those things are developed to be placed in front of the chosen arbitrators / mediators, and we look to put our arguments forward and come up with a reasonable position. They will come up with a reasonable position to move our cricket forward so that we can give the players what they duly deserve and move the process forward.
And finally, Hines expressed his delight at the implementation of the fund for retired West Indies cricketers.
Well, it is good to always have a fund or a foundation that looks after players, whether they are playing or not. And we are pretty pleased at the West Indies Players Association that we have a players association that looks after our players, even when they stop playing. And this is in collaboration with the West Indies Cricket Board, and it is a good thing. And we look to make sure that we can improve this foundation, and it can actually serve its real purpose, which is to service players who are retired and make sure that it enhances their life and show some respect to what they have contributed to West Indies cricket thus far.